Strength through will is how we can reverse the perversion of values that have been instilled in you, in me, and all our brethren, insidiously through generations of ancestral oppression. Though it stood with as much superhuman endurance as anyone could, it left a deep impression. Invisible scars that have caused us to devolve into a state of unconsciousness so malignant, we've nearly forgotten we're not a problem to be solved. We always been the solution they seek to dissolve, with the illusion of ties that bind us to a system that blinds, of most vicious design, which is to free no man. Only together, through sharing of wisdom, can we heal the wounds of division, forever sealing that evil incision, and finally deprogram.
Spiritual belief systems while there. For me, I use it as a wound instead of a tomb. So some of the information and knowledge that I obtained or acquired while I was in there, the information that I was coming across, I had never, heard before, such as I even studied the literature of the Moors Science Temple of America. Their branch of Islam. I studied with the Rastafarians. I studied their teachings. And I read the Bible twice from cover to cover. I read the Quran because I fasted for some years during Ramadan, and you had to read like a 33rd of Quran, like every day of the month fast. So, but when I came across, I began like some years into my bid. I say about 7 years into my bid, I came across the meta nature and started learning about different African spirituality that I understand as the foundation of the first monotheistic belief system that I come across, that I understand from my research and reading. So, but in Malifi Asante's writing in Afrocentricity, he said that he made the point of throwing off Christianity and then grabbing and latching on to another belief system that was also foreign to African culture, which was Islam. Because even Islam came into even Islamic teachers came into Islamic members came into Africa in, like, if I'm not mistaken, 700 AD, and kind of invaded in East and West Africa. So so I'm just, as far as on that faith, from the faith perspective, I don't, to me, it doesn't matter what a person believes, long as if they following the tenets of their, whatever they believe, to the best of their ability, or their understanding, or to what their book requires them to perform or to do, then I think that we will end up at the same objective. And my position is to make change in the community. So our people as African people, the oppressed people or colonized, I think that we're not in our situation because of religion, because what we believe. So, we're still being exploited, whether you're Christian, Muslim, or whatever you believe.
True.
Or in the street, or you believe nothing. We still being exploited. We still being killed, because the cops or the state don't ask you what your belief is when you get pulled over, when they have, shot and killed or stood on people's necks and everything else. So, that's kind of my belief and objective, is to make change in whatever way I can.
So what was, during your bid, what was the biggest thing, what was the biggest life lesson you learned?
Biggest life lesson. Mm, and I learned so many lessons.
Or you, I mean, you can mention a few.
Yeah, biggest life lessons. Life lessons. Just being thankful self. Think for yourself. Uh, mm, let me see.
That's cool. Take your time.
Yeah, yeah. um, think for yourself. I don't know. Maybe we can come back to that one.
All
But,
right, cool. We'll just hop on this for a minute. You said think for yourself,
yeah.
because a lot of times, and it's interesting that you said that, because a lot of times when people are incarcerated, they actually group up and they lose the ability to think for themselves.
Hmm.
And so I found that very interesting and actually very intelligent for you to recognize that, hey, I gotta think for myself. I can't be led by another's thinking for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And it's not simply being led by, and it may not even be led by people, but led by detrimental ideas or trends. You know, just analyzing my life. Going back to the late '80s, I think I probably got in the streets maybe 15, going on 16, high school, and during that time that was kind of like the height of the so-called crack era, in our city, going in the late '80s. Uh, it was evolving, into the height of it, and I mean, it was just, for myself, it was just so easy to gravitate, toward what the benefits can bring, what benefits of it, just learning, just seeing, as a teenager, that I can spend 20 and make 40, I'll spend 40 and make 80, 100 and make 200, I mean, at the time it was just like petty hustling, but still, once, I started making that first flip as a teen, it was like the drug for me, you know, like most smokers will tell you that when they had that first high, they trying to chase that first high. And for me, you know, making that first flip and then sell, it was like uh, uh, I was mentally and psychologically attracted, to that. And as time went on, just got deeper into the lifestyle.
Okay. And see, I seen after you came out, I noticed that you enrolled in UTC, correct?
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
I'm not just enrolled. Let me correct myself. You actually earned a degree from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
And if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I think one of the majors was political science. I done forgot the minor, but I know it was political science.
Yeah, yeah. It was political science with a concentration in legal studies and English writing minor. Yep. And I had actually, I went to UTC by default because I was actually planning on my whole time. I say for like 8 years, I was planning on getting out and getting released to Nashville. My family had moved. Some of my family moved up there, and I had got accepted at TSU. I had applied like a year before it was time for me to go to the halfway house. And because like, years earlier, I was already I already said to myself, since I was reading so much and writing, and said, I wanted to go to school, because even growing up, anybody who know me, even growing up, I mean, that's all my granddad, my grandfather, and my grandfather's daughter, my aunt, always talked about education, education, get education, get education. My granddad went to actually he graduated from TSU, my grandfather. So when I was incarcerated, I just started reflecting back on everything, even that, and being that I was also heavily into the law. I mean, I stayed in the law library for 11 years straight, and I got to where I understood law pretty well, and I was filing grievances in prison, filing Freedom of Information Act lawsuit to arguing my 2255 post-conviction, and then other post-conviction motions that I filed, and I started filing for others. So yeah. So back to about UTC. I had applied for TSU and UTC. I was accepted at TSU. I had a job with a black newspaper already waiting for me up there that Chattanooga News Chronicle had arranged a setup for me.
Okay.
And for some reason, they wouldn't let me move up there. And the head probation officer told my family that I didn't have any ties to the community up there, and that I was violent. And the thing about it, I did my last 5 years at a minimum security camp, and my last 5 of 13, but he said I was too violent to be released at Nashville.
Hold on. You said you did your last 5 at a minimum, right?
Yeah.
And they stated that you was too violent, and you did 5 years at a minimum. You even said camp, right?
Yeah, minimum security camp. Yeah.
Let me put this out there for the people. They ain't gonna let you spend 5 years at the camp. I feel like I know this much about the feds. If you violent, you ain't even gonna go to the camp, because you done show the history.
Exactly.
You done show the history that you need to be behind the wall, or they feel like that. Let me clarify that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I mean, it can be verified. I filed a lawsuit against when they denied me for going to my mother's house. I actually filed a 120-page lawsuit against the head probation office in Nashville, Middle District of Tennessee, against the BOP, Bureau of Prison up in Big Sandy. And that was probably my 3rd lawsuit filing against them, the prison up there in Big Sandy. And I filed against the district court up there in Nashville. But they end up denying me. And I was filing so much paperwork against the case managers there at Big Sandy, they end up sending me to Nashville without me being accepted by the probation office. They end up forging some papers and sent me to Nashville because I was filing so much paperwork and lawsuits against them at the time. And
so hold on.
When I got to that,
let me follow it. Let me make sure I'm following you. They denied you from going to Nashville.
Yeah.
So once you start filing these lawsuits and paperwork against them, they actually sent you to Nashville?
Sent me to Nashville to the halfway house. Once I got up to, to the halfway house. Now, once I got to Nashville halfway house on Leo Avenue, I say after 2 weeks after I got a chance to get my ID, after 2 weeks, the PO, probation officer, called up there and said they no longer wanted me to leave the premises and that I had to go back to chat. So that's how I end up in chat. So I end up applying for both TSU and I applied for UTC just in case. Some reason I had to go back to Chattanooga. So so that's how I end up going back to Chattanooga halfway house, and I end up having to file something against the director there, and was how she was treating the blacks.
So hold up. I want to make sure I didn't skim over this as well.
Yeah.
You said they actually denied you from going to your mother's house?
Yeah, up in Nashville.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in court record up there in Nashville, Middle District of Tennessee. Kendrick versus the BOP.
So how did you get into the political science? What made you want to tap into that?
Well, most of the newspaper articles that I wrote, I wrote like I said, I wrote 90 newspaper articles up until my release, and most of them was dealing with whatever political issues, social political issues that was going on at the time. Because I read newspapers, I was reading books, lots of black books, books by a variety of authors, but mostly black politics, social issues, and so when I got to UTC, I changed my major a couple of times. It was for communications. They didn't have a journalism program. I went sociology to just regular writing in English. So I just changed it back to political science since I had, heard that was best if you're planning on going to law school, because that was my plan, to graduate from UTC and go straight to law school.
Okay. So upon graduating, did you continue being a journalist?
I still wrote for them. I still wrote for the Chronicle even after I graduated. I wrote a few articles. I graduated in 2012, but I ended up moving down here to the A in 2013 in order to prepare to try to get in law school at Georgia State. I did go to a law school visit. Georgia State and John Marshall. So, but I never did go. I ended up kind of working and getting into landed a corporate role and kind of put off attending law school at the time.
Do you still have aspirations to attend law school at this point?
Yeah. I end up going back to school, getting a master's degree in business, MBA. But I just had that passion for law. I've been using the law. I've been helping others, even from chat, fight different, not fight cases. I help some, some folks get some fines off by filing some different motions. And I volunteered at one time with the Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation to help low income people in Atlanta fight tenants' rights related issues. And I even had to file a lawsuit against some companies down here, and I won pro se. I ain't gonna say the company's name because we had a settlement agreement where they included a non-disclosure. So,
All right, let me ask you this.
Okay.
It's a case. I don't even know if you heard of the case. It was a guy, he got arrested by the feds for It's public record. I think they said it was human trafficking or something like that. And he wanted to represent himself. They tried to appoint him a lawyer. He wanted to represent himself. So upon him coming to court, they was like telling him, they was writing in the paper that he was having all kind of outbursts. And they end up, I felt like this was unheard of. They end up giving this man 12, they gave him 32 years for human trafficking. And they also gave him 12 months for outbursts in the courtroom.
Contempt.
I was like, how can you get a whole year for contempt?
Yeah.
And then it's like, I feel like, and he spoke on this, I say his name because it's public record, Corey Gillespie. And he was stating that they violated his civil right.
Yeah.
So being that you know more about law, is that true? Do you believe that they really violated his civil rights to even because he wanted to represent himself, but he wasn't allowed the opportunity to?
Well, you have a right to represent yourself. And I mean, I don't know the actual facts, so I couldn't really, speak on the facts.
Or the case,
the case in that area of law. But I will say that you have a right to defend yourself in court. And in Chattanooga, I can see why, because and just going back to when I was at UTC, I was in the pre-law club, and some legal professors, I think one may have been from one of the prosecutors, the DA office, that was coming doing a presentation at the pre-law club. And I know one of the lawyers in there was talking about most of us who practice law in this area, most of us have attended UTK. So that's where. So if you plan on practicing in this district, and they should recommend that you go to UTK. So I said, why is that? I said, to me, it sounds like. I said it kind of sounds like, and I'm just saying it based on my experience, because I filed ineffective assistance of counsel and tried to file professional responsibility claims, against my attorney, and I can remember the responses that I was getting from the local professional responsibility board and chat. But going back to the pre-law class, the guy it was like he was implying that, you go there and then we would do things a certain way here in Chattanooga. So, because I said, well, what if a person come from graduate from a college up north, just say Columbia University, and come down? Well, if they plan on practicing here in this district, I would strongly suggest that they go to UTK.
Hold on. Even though
I'm telling you, this was in pre-law class. I'm in a pre-law group club.
So you telling them, even though they done graduated from another school, and they telling them they suggest them go to UTK?
Well, no, not after they graduated, but they would they talking to prospective law students.
So they trying to feed people to UTK. Okay.
Yeah. And from what I got, it's not just to feed the law school with more students. It was just saying, if you planning on practicing in this area, it's best that you go to that school. So
That's kind of strange.
Yeah,
Or
I just felt that it was out of pocket, you know, for them to make that imply, you know, insinuation.
so it's almost like I'm gonna tell you what I hear, man. Hey, it's almost
Okay.
like they got a good old boy system, and that's how they feed you. Okay, you go over here, and this way you gonna learn what we do here. That's why we suggest
Exactly.
you go here.
Yeah, the system, good old boy system.
I mean, have you ever heard of a guy getting 12 months for outbursts in the courtroom?
I haven't.
Cause I was like,
The
am I
outburst for 12 months for that?
am I retarded or something? Because I ain't 12 months, and this man just
Yeah.
asking to represent himself. Even if he
Mm.
lose, it's his right to represent himself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't heard of that. And I'm not saying it haven't happened or it hasn't happened, but I haven't heard of it.
And then, like, one thing I noticed, man, with the feds, they law system, it's like, it's almost like no matter who your lawyer is, it's like they work for them.
Yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
you in a lose-lose. You could pay. If they want you, they gonna find a way to get you, in a sense.
get you. Yeah, yeah, basically. Yeah, yeah.
So
98% conviction rate.
you said
And that's been
98?
98. Yeah, has been like that for some time.